Did he freeze? Or is he
All
back?
right. No, no, no. Here we go. All right. We are live. That's what happens when you go live on YouTube. Sometimes it takes a minute, but I learned to keep quiet or else it crosses over. So, hey, y'all, I'm Brandon David, Web3 Collective, Music City Crypto. We're in the house with some amazing, amazing people for our monthly Why Web3 Music Tech Media webinar and meet and greet. This is our Bit Basel edition, or not Bit Basel. We love Bit Basel, but this is our Beyond Basel edition. Shout out to Scarlett and the Bit Basel team that rocked it during Basel as well. The purposes of this is we had our boots on the ground. Most of us had our boots on the ground during Art Basel, but what's beyond Art Basel? Some of our friends weren't able to make it, and they had their eyes on the prize, keeping the machine running, keeping their movement going. And so we do our best to bring our international community and our Miami community together. And that's what the Web3 Collective is all about, y'all. So I'm going to give it now a quick opportunity to kick it off before we do intros. I'm just going to turn it over to my co-host here, Benny Pacala, to just give a little update. And then we'll go around the room, do some intros. We're going to have a cool curated conversation on why Web3, why music tech, why it matters. And we're going to have an awesome conversation. Then we're going to bring some people up from the audience to participate as well. Then we're going to go off air. And if you weren't on the Zoom, you don't get to be part of that. So make sure you sign up on the Zoom. So Benny, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. The quick update from Web3 Collective. So we've got another event the beginning of January. So we'll make sure to get that link in, but at our monthly networking events, we connect people from all over the world in small breakout rooms and really focus on making introductions for each other, kind of like a Web3 Chamber of Commerce, so to speak. So we had a great event last month, even though it was in the middle of Art Basel, and we had a lot of people that were out exploring in real life events, but the virtual events for the Web3 Collective, we really are connecting Web3 professionals from all over the world. So we hope if you're on the call with us tonight, and certainly if you're watching later as well, from the recording, from the YouTube live stream, love to have you. So yeah, excited to get into everything. Let's dive in.
Beautiful. Well, y'all, that's Benny Pacala, Web3 Collective and Krypton Labs, one of the best Web3 accelerators on the block, on and off the blockchain. Shout out to G from On the Blockchain Show. We'll be hearing from him in a little bit. So we're just going to go around the room. We are very, some people are asking me, hey, what's new with music and Web3? Well, I'm going to tell you what's new with music and Web3. It's Noom. So we're going to start it off with Adam, give a brief intro, and we'll go around the room here and get this conversation started. So we have an amazing group panelists here, y'all. Adam from Noom, if you can give us a little background about yourself, and then pass it on over to Andrew.
Right on. Appreciate you having me. It's good to be here with everyone. Yeah, I mean, my background is music and music tech. I'm a musician by trade, entrepreneur by spirit. Cut my teeth with a company for 10 years or so called Sync Tank, which was for catalog and licensing, catalog management and licensing. And then I found my way into blockchain and crypto and Web3, and I ended up with the Noom guys that are building over on Cardano, which are basically just building all sorts of tools for artists and musicians to empower their careers from the time of inception to the close. And we're starting with fractionalizing IP rights, streaming IP rights, so that fans and investors can participate. And then we have a lot more on the roadmap from there. So that's me, and that's what I'm up to. Pass it on.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Sync Tank is definitely a legendary, more than just CRM software, but legendary. So we know Noom's on the right track with having you on the BD. Another BD legend in the house, Andrew Schiffman, from MTV to Rally to Yellow Heart and beyond. He's got a pretty amazing track record, but it's not just where he's been, it's where he's going in this space. So Andrew, if you can give us a little update on what you've been up to.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Good to see your faces again. I've been pretty busy, man. Just really trying to end the year strong, and I feel like 23 is just gonna skyrocket for everyone, right? We've been building, we've been connecting. So, personally, I've been consulting for a couple years in this space. Recently at this ticketing platform called Relic, helping them migrate to another blockchain and building out their kind of client activation, platform. So really trying to strategize with clients on their roadmap and, go through execution. They've got some really cool tech coming up. So 23, you'll be hearing some big things from Relic. Have some other massive meetings today, which may lead my career down another path, but we'll see. But I love this music space. Over 20 years in the music business side. Most of it was at MTV, music programming and artist relations. So basically worked on every major artist, new and old, from 2000 to 2012. So really feel like those tools on building campaigns and strategizing and building shows and platforms can really resonate to what I'm trying to do in this Web3 space.
Yes, sir. Amazing. Well, from anti-bully campaigns, tours, to managing and representing some of the top TikTok influencers in the world, Dylan Smith.
He always makes the intro so great. Thank you, Brandon. Great to be with you guys again. I see some familiar faces and some new ones, but always a pleasure to see you guys. A little background for those who haven't heard. I founded Team Checked, which has become one of the largest, if not the largest, influencer conglomerate globally. We specialize in taking the top talent and creators and developing all sorts of interactive experiences for the optimal fan engagement experiences. So for me, it's important to understand our audiences, how they think, how they interact, what they want. We've got just over 60 of the top social creatives signed to us. They collectively have just over 1 billion combined followers. So we have a very large footprint in our social media network through which we do aggressive media campaigns, music partnerships. And about 1.5 years ago, we made the initiative as an agency with our biggest creatives to help move them into Web3. Some of our creatives have launched their own NFT projects and sold out and are working on their second and tertiary. And we've got creators who are also a huge part of the branding and marketing and breaking these projects into market. And what we do as an agency with a lot of partners in Web3 who are trying to break into market and compete with everyone is, one, vet their project, audit their code with the biggest and the baddest auditors out there, make sure that they're not going to run into any PR nightmares once we go public. And then partner with the most powerful voices out there who over the last couple of years have built their own core Web3 audiences on Twitter, Discord, etc. So I'm very focused with, on the agency helping be the voice in the Web2 to Web3 conversation. Just one of the ways we've done that is we partnered early with portals on Solana and acquired 20 spaces in there and do all sorts of events. And the beauty there is it requires just a URL rather than VR, right? Which is kind of a barrier to entry for these new users. So we figured, hey, if we could just have a URL experience, we could open the door to people who are typically afraid of this metaverse concept. So we've done that. We're able to send users all over the world URLs, jump them into these virtual environments we customize, and they're meeting their biggest and favorite celebrities who are Ready Player Me scans, lookalike avatars, and having these virtual experiences. So we're very focused on how we can work these things together and collectively manage this large audience that we have and all of the creatives that are part of it.
Beautiful. Yeah, and we have Michael Bonner, who has been working on the tech side, but also he's got a kind of like Benny. He's got to create, he's got that creative side, the community building side, but also major on the tech. Michael, share a little bit. We know you're connected in Atlanta, working with some of the people at the Atlanta Blockchain Center, representing also community representative for Polygon. So share a little bit about what you're up to in that rhythm and business.
Sure. So for those of you in Georgia, I am a former digital marketer turned developer. I always been a hobbyist in development, but I actually quit my salary job 2018 and got to development. And it was, but it was in 2020 when I got into blockchain development. And the first thing that I thought of when I got into development was how can I bring music and the blockchain together? So after doing some NFT projects, earlier this year, Rhythm and Business, which is a music marketplace specifically for R&B artists from the block to the blockchain. And I have been building that ever since. It was initially built on Oasis protocol through the Oasis MetaMind Accelerator that I was accepted to and finished in June of this year. I'm also building Song Coaches, a DAO structure to build like sure that songwriters can collaborate together, so can distribute royalties and all the things that go with that through a DAO structure. So between doing that and building and doing my own music, I've been doing a lot for blockchain. As a developer, I consider myself blockchain agnostic. Like I said, I built on Oasis protocol, I built on Solana. I am a certified developer with Near Protocol. But you can probably tell from my hat that I do have a little bit of a preference to Polygon, as I am the official community leader or guild mage for Polygon here in Atlanta. So I represent all things Polygon here. And like Brandon said, I'm affiliated with the Atlanta Blockchain Center, which is a co-working space and a physical presence building that's in the Buckhead part of Atlanta that's been here since the summer of this year, where founders and builders and tech people and even creators like myself can come and actually have a space where we can actually grow the Atlanta Web3 community. So I'm always doing a lot of stuff, but Rhythm and Business is like my baby that I'm working with right now.
Beautiful. Beautiful, man. Always an honor to have you in the mix. See Natalie Crew also in the audience. We're going to be bringing her up and some of these other amazing people that we have in the mix. I learned early on to try not to stack the crowd too much in the beginning so we could actually have a real curated conversation. So I'm fighting it, y'all. I want to just bring everybody up at once, but we're going to get there. Gnarly from Web3 Trap, and he's been pioneering some things, bridging the gap between hip hop, education, and generations. So Gnarly, if you could share a little bit about what you've been up to. And we know you got a workshop coming up this Friday. I think this Thursday you got a workshop coming up too.
Yeah, we have a workshop coming up this Thursday at the City of Miami Gardens, which is one of our partners. And what that partnership look like, we host monthly workshops there with the community, from high school students up until like the elders in their 60s. You'll be surprised how many people or grandmas that know about crypto right now. And I was very surprised from our last workshop. And we mainly integrating education and entertainment. So it's like, I wouldn't say making learning fun, but our main thing is to speak the language for inner city community people, melanated people in that particular, to speak a language that they understand and get them out to the workshops and break down blockchain technology basics in this basic form to them, for them to get hip to it and see where they fit in. And that's how I learned about this space, attending Art Basel 2021. And I went to Bit Basel's event specifically. And around that time, I just had to start diving in, performing in the metaverse, selling it, music NFT, and just moving and shaking throughout the town. That's how I met Brandon David. And we're near grant recipients. We provided mass adoption for them, opening up over 100 smart wallets throughout Miami, Wynwood, Liberty City, Miami Gardens, and North Miami. So when we got a couple cities locally under our belt where we've been activating and spreading the word about Near or just blockchain technology, but mainly we're working to integrate like a conference, like where we have a panel and we have different people, like Brandon just had this wonderful panel right now, all the different people that's doing things in their collectives. And to integrate it with like music performances, to have like, something where tech people and people that's still like in a Web2 phase that come on a common ground and have like a dope event. So that's what we're doing here at Web3 Trap. And thank you, Brandon, for having me.
Yeah, it's an honor, man. Yeah, definitely bridging the gap is a huge theme And there's a lot of people on the call right now, but there'll be some people that'll be watching later that might still not know what Web3 is. So if we could go around the room, a sentence or less, even just real simplified, like, and whoever wants to jump in and answer that. But if you guys could, Benny to Dill to whoever wants to answer, also in the chat, go ahead and put your definition in the chat of what you believe Web3 is to you. And we'll just go ahead and kick it off with Benny to kick off that question.
Yeah. The next version of the internet, as defined by new technologies such as blockchain, NFTs, cryptocurrency, and new customer behaviors such as user-owned data, virtual experiences, and digital identity. That's mine. So I'll pass.
Beautiful. Dill.
I'll take it, sure. For me, it's the evolution of Web2 utility. I think that's the crux of what Web3 is. How can we offer services to people in a way that doesn't have an on-off switch that depends on how someone feels for the day? And what I mean is the internet is not centrally controlled anymore. You've got variation of nodes and computers distributed all around the world that support these networks, and they're foolproof in a lot of ways, unless they're intentionally built with backdoors. So for me, it's incredible security layers that Web2 is missing. Functionally, if you're new to Web3, you're gonna experience the same things that you do in Web2. It's just the backdoor and the way that it's built is more complicated and foolproof, and to me, and I think it's an evolution of what the internet should be, without any central controller power.
Beautiful. Anybody else? Andrew?
Yeah, I love what Benny said. It's really about ownership. I think transparent data for the fan and the client, I think, is something that was missing from Web 2, and the collaboration of and the integration of multiple platforms, whether it's social or events and merch and food and bev. It's really technology that can bring all that together in one cohesive program, app, whatever. And distribution of funds is really key as well. Being able to use smart contracts and write the rules that are specific for a transaction, an event, something that's for sale. So that all really comes back to digital ownership.
That's good. How about Adam?
I would just say Web 2 is centralized governance and centralized actors that are controlling pretty much everything, including your data. And Web 3 is decentralizing governance and decentralizing ownership of assets, and blockchain is just a tool to enable that. It's kind of that gatekeeping tool that opens it all up for everyone. That's all that.
Cool. Awesome. Gnarly.
I'm gonna keep it short, but one thing I always use is like Web3 is kind of like the wild, wild west of the internet with a paper trail though. That's just like what helps me click and other people understand it.
That's good. It's good, Michael.
But one I heard today has been sticking in my head. I literally heard this earlier this afternoon, and there was Web 2 was the age of user-generated content, and Web 3 is the age of user-generated value, where creators can and their value and grow it, but not only individually, but also collectively in communities, where communities can grow and create value on the internet instead of being subject to, the corporations of the value of a person in the community. And the way that sounds.
Cool. Cool. Well, and I think that's, I've heard it also said, I remember being at South by Southwest, during South by Southwest and getting to interview some people. And I've seen it kind of get adopted where it was like Web 1's the typewriter, or like Web 1's like, yo, you could read on the internet. Web 2 is like, yo, you could read and write, communicate, build community. Web 3 is like, you could read, write, and own your own data, your own IP, really those relationships. So with that being said, I want to recap a little bit about why, boots on the ground, an event like Art Basel, why, a lot of us, there's some people that really own the cloud in the space, the clubhouse rooms, the Twitter spaces, the virtual, connectors. They really help pave the way, even for me to be able to come in. And we just started interviewing people in that space because of those people who are leading the way on the online talks. But then there's the people who are really paving the way on the ground. I remember hearing my friend Easy Ezra from Cypher.media when he would just talk about like, yo, this is what I was at Art Basel and this was happening. I was like, yo, I can't just stay here in the cloud anymore. I gotta get on the ground. Dylan, touch on what was it like to go from event to event and find yourself at like Gary V's. I know you were at his big party and, just moving with your team, and your wife's a major artist and influencer in this space, also bridging the gap. Like, what was it like going from place to place? And what does an Art Basel, being at a Gary V party, or whether a WEB3, like a smaller gathering like we had, to some of these bigger events, like what kind of impact does that make for you guys? Why is that such a big investment of your time and resources?
Yeah, no, totally. Well, last year was our first Art Basel as a group where we took influencers to the ground. And for me, it was confirmation that, there is a true community movement in this space, and everything that we do, our ethos is community. So I was like, we need to evolve with this. I was very curious going in this year, how the energy would compare considering what's happening in the, Web3 crypto climate. I was very happy to see, at least all of the events and relationships and partners that we have were either executing their own events or partaking in major events. So, the buzz is still there. The confidence is still there internally. People are just looking for these secure places to put their money. I hear FTX is hyped, but they clearly got a back channel. So I don't want my money in a situation like that, right? That was a lot of the conversation we heard. And there was a lot of energy around people are looking where to invest. We'd love to hit the market now and be that loud voice as the alternative. So I thought it was very healthy for Web3 to just hear that internal dialogue, and encouraging for us. But aside from that, the camaraderie was there. The parties are incredible. I saw just as many faces as last year in the space, and I think we all walked away, saying whatever happens in 23, we're in this together and not going anywhere. So I was really happy about that.
Yeah, great. That's a great point. And I remember being in Austin during Decentral in Austin, and that's when I heard the term, it's not just a bear market, it's a build market. And so for many of us, Benny specifically, going from speaking at Decentral to work in the investment room at Web3 Miami to all the after parties and so on, and helping, throw Win3, celebrating Web3 in Wynwood. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think the space is evolving. Certainly, I'm a believer in we're all going to make it, but also I think it's important to be practical about what approaches are different in 2023 than they, entering January 2023 than they would have been even 6 months ago, but especially January 2022. I do see that investors are still active. The leverage has shifted in their favor. So there is more of a demand for revenue or even profit, when previously it might have been a lot easier to raise on a white paper without a lot built. I also see, which I think is a good thing, businesses focusing more on end user value and kind of like tangible use cases. Certainly there's still novel ways to do tokenomics, novel ways to set up primitive data types. There's a lot to be done in the kind of raw cryptographic tokenomic realm, DeFi. That being said, I do see a good focus on, hey, how do we get one layer removed or as close as we can to a user experience, to someone listening to music, to somebody making a purchase in real life, towards something that's a little bit more rooted in an established market. And I think that's a sign of maturity for the industry. So definitely different entering 2023, but I think now is when people talk, oh, in a bear market, that's when Uber and Lyft were built, right? And that might be a little overdone, but it is true. I think the businesses that are really going to help take the adoption of Web3 from where it stands now, which is a small percentage of the population, to a much larger percentage of people around the world, I think they're going to be created now. So I'm excited.
It's interesting. Building on that, we saw from in a Web2 world, Napster, peer-to-peer file sharing, and Steve Jobs and many others came alongside and helped organize that into an industry, help save the music industry, a lot of people would say. And we see a lot of the music industry people, maybe not as whole companies, but as individuals, many are searching out the space. They don't want to miss this opportunity. The grassroots, the music festivals. There's a lot of people that are looking into this space. So I want to key in on Michael Bonner and also Adam to help answer this next question. Andrew, anybody else, feel free to jump in. But why is music in Web3? Why is that not just a buzz that's happening, but a real thing that's, it's definitely coming to fruition where we're seeing more and more. It's almost like we're waiting for the infrastructure to be built for artists to participate more. But why is music in Web3 such almost like a good partnership, good marriage that you see for the future?
For me, I think it goes like two ways, both as a music fan, as a music maker. As a music maker, for people like myself who are independent artists, being able to get into music and be into the buying, not only, to be able to create when you kind of like own your own distribution and own how you communicate with your fans, own how you distribute your music to your fans and let them actually be a part of the process of what you're doing with music and your direction, and also performing in the metaverse. I think is what most attracts with one of the conglomerates and having to be with one of the main music companies in order to make it. Doing this and actually set your own value, talking about that earlier, how you want to distribute your music, whether it be through NFT or something else that's doing with the blockchain. And I think that attracts some people, especially with independent artists, genres like pop or R&B or electronic music. They can distribute their music and do their music career their own way instead of having to depend on traditional music structure. As a fan, and like I said, I'm a big collector of music. As a fan, I think it makes music collectible again. Instead of depend on like, okay, I have my Spotify playlist, or if I use Apple Music, do that. It allows people to have kind of ownership of the artists that they like, of the genre that they like, and it makes music collectible again. I finish stuff. I still collect cassette tapes. But most people, they just depend on, what app they're playing their music on. But now it allows people to have music collectible again, whether it, perhaps to certain metaverse concerts or, quote unquote, tangible items of music through NFTs and other things like that. I think both of those things are very, very, very key and crucial to how music and Web3 is married together.
Awesome. And Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does. There's a couple of things there. One, it brings value back to music that kind of disappeared for a while. New ways to monetize it, whether it's selling NFTs of serialized audio drops, or like what Noom is doing, selling fractionalized ownership in IP rights and the rights of the music in different ways. And that was done in Web2 in some instances, but it wasn't ever this transparent and this efficient So that's a big component. You know, Napster kind of blew up the whole industry along with LimeWire and all those players. And it's taken quite a few years to bring it back to a place where you can, you know, monetize it in a way that isn't streaming, which, as we all know, doesn't pay so well. So that's a big component. The other thing about music is it's relatable to everyone. And while crypto is still fairly new, I think it will really, quote unquote, arrive when you don't realize you're using crypto anymore. And it's so, you know, it's just infrastructure, and music is a component that everyone wants to participate in. So if you can make music easy to use and you don't know it's crypto or blockchain related, which means the user interfaces have to be seamless and flawless, like what we're already used to, I think that's the biggest component. So making crypto to the point where it's not a dirty word anymore, because you don't even have to say it, because it's just the blockchain and the technology that's powering everything going on. So I think those two things are critical.
Beautiful. Well, we're welcoming Roy, Future Man Wooten, to the stage. You never know who's going to pop in here. Grammy Award winner with Bella Fleck and the Flecktones. The Wooten family. And Roy would say, you know, they're bringing me to the stage as a legend, but I'm coming to this with the heart of a child. So, Roy, if you could touch in a little bit, you know, what you're seeing, and you know, this is what you've been immersing yourself in, trying to figure out. So go ahead and let's hear what you got to say.
Yeah, you know, I just think, you know, you talk about a bear market. For people don't know, the bear and the bulls. The bears is when things are going down. The bulls is like Michael Jordan when things are going up. But when things are going down, if we look in history, that's where like the new ideas, that's where the new seeds, everything's close to the ground. And so this is the time, like Gary Vee talks about, where you're creating. I think right now is a time of planting flags and making statements, and like whatever our best ideas are, I don't know that we've seen them yet. So for me, it's just a time of just really launching. And I just always think, what would Muhammad Ali do with this kind of technology, where he could write his poems, he could share his poems, he could like stream his fights, he could, I mean, it's just like, wow, it's so many opportunities right now. And so I'm just working on, I'm just building. You know, I'm just building, but I just think right now, with all the technology, underneath all of that is the creativity that's going to cream through all of this technology that's paving the way for artists to really be artists, you know, and for artists to be artists, and for the biz dev people, the business develop people to create the teams that's really going to show the world like new ways to go forward, you know, and that's what I'm seeing. I mean, I have content, you know what I mean? I just been waiting for the right paths to be able to kind of start to tell the stories and share the content. So it's exciting time for me right now. Right now, it feels like what's happening in the news with crypto is like it's getting a black eye. But it's kind of like anything that's really good is going to get bullied, you know, like anything that's great is going to get pushed to the ground. You know, it's like the guy that's on the beach, the skinny person on the beach gets pushed down, and so builds up muscle, and now it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger or somebody, you know, like Rambo. To me, that's the game we're playing right now, is the new game, and the world is going through changes. This is 2022. Man, we're in the future right now. You know what I mean? It's like, if you think about the movies, 2001 Space Odyssey, 2010 Space Odyssey. Well, guess what? We're in 2022. What's Bowman getting ready to do right now? See what I'm saying? So when we talk about NFTs and people go, what? That's what you're supposed to be saying, because we're in the future right now. And so I'm just really excited, man. I'm just, you know, I'm scheming, man. I'm just ready to launch some stuff in a cool way and test some stuff and plant flags. I got a friend with an NFT project I'm working on in Italy. He says it's a time for planting flags. So I think it's about creativity. What are we going to do right now with all of these cool opportunities? And that's my thing, man. A lot of good stuff happening. Somebody mentioned the Flecktones. Yeah, we're going to have a reunion tour next year. So we're coming back after COVID. So good stuff happening.
Cool. I want to kick it back up to Adam. I've been wanting to connect you guys for a while. I know Ryan sat down with you, Roy. This is the guy behind the scenes we've been building with. So Adam and Roy.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, you're with Noon.
Yeah,
Oh, we need to talk soon.
yeah. Yeah, we want you to put some of that content out on our platform, please.
Yeah, we need to talk real soon. Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Are you where are you in Nashville?
I'm in New York.
Okay. Close enough. Yeah. All right. All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
When
we'll
you
get
come
it. We'll
on
get it
tour with
rocking.
the Flecktones, I want to come.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
Hey. So yeah, you're getting to taste a little bit of what the meet and greet's going to be in a little bit, y'all. So get ready. We're going to be bringing a couple more people up here momentarily, but I want to bring it over to Dylan. Talk about, you took, I believe it was Cody, some of the other guys. What does it look like for an artist? So if you're an artist on this call, if you're listening, um, if you're rewatching this and you're trying to figure out, where do I start? Dylan, where do you start? What does it look like to actually pull something like this off, to do a real drop with music?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think there's two different answers. One is a creative, physical artist, tangible artist. Another is, creating digital art or music. We dabble in both quite deeply. I think from the starting point, the first thing you need is a decent product, right? If you got a fan club or a community to start with, you can generally sell something that may not be perfect because they love you anyway. But if you're starting at your bare bones, work on that community by having a solid product to market, right? So that's number one. Once you have that, Web3 is a whole nother animal, an easier animal than Web2, because in terms of ROIs and earnings, because it takes fractions to earn what you traditionally would, and fractions of people to earn what you traditionally would in millions and millions of streams on current platforms. So I think it's very important that you focus on community, get involved as an artist in other projects, other communities, join their discords, let them know what you're up to, ask them how you can support their project. And then all of a sudden you're ready to drop yours and you've got 500 to 1,000 supporters. And a lot of these projects at the 5 to 10,000 piece drops, that's all they need, right? Because people are buying 2, 3, 4 sometimes, right? So in terms of building an audience in Web3, you're building a core audience that are your hardcore spenders and fans anyway. And those guys are going to spend triple, quadruple what they could in any Web2 avenue because it's just not available or built. Sammy is a perfect example of that. Sammy Arriaga, who we work with here in Nashville. My wife was on Metagirl with him. And he was a perfect use case in terms of how you develop relationships with other communities. And he went into other projects and built a name for himself, supported their projects, said, look, I'm an artist who believes in Web3, this Web2 stuff. I'm over the streams. I'm over the payouts. I'm over working my butt off for what I earn. I really want to help music grow in this world. And he did that and built relationships with some of the best projects out there and sold out his NFT within 48 hours on drop. And now he and a couple artists that we work with and in-house are all in the top 5 selling Web3 artists currently. So they've broken a lot of barriers, but it all goes back to that community. And you don't necessarily have to have 30,000 followers or 100,000 followers on traditional social media. You just need a core of 500 to 1,000 people, and you can kickstart a career that would shock you as an artist in Web3. So those are my thoughts.
Beautiful. Andrew, what would you say? You've worked, especially with your time at Yellowheart and some other organizations, and just coming alongside some real time situations. What would you say is a healthy process for piggybacking off of what Dylan's saying?
I mean, for an artist, we worked with a lot of named artists, so really trying to get the support from the majors, which I think is important in the music space, especially for, not that dirty word mass adoption, but to bring over fans and communities that would buy an album or go to a concert to really have them partake in a exciting way using blockchain tech that they wouldn't even know. So, having things priced similar to what fans are expecting, not to put out an album for like $100 or, half ETH or something crazy. But I think, you've really got to look at where fans are today and build around what your audience wants and, would partake in when you're thinking about music. Music's been free for for a long time. So how can you package music to make it an exciting bundle for your fans? So I think, artists just have to really be creative. And, I always try and help strategize and build that long-term roadmap. It's not just buying that one song, but how can an artist really look at their kind of marketing plan for a year, 2 years, and think about how to integrate everything under an NFT drop or, something like that. You're releasing a song, then you have an EP album, then you're going on tour, releasing some cool content. So really just trying to bring everything together. So, you're offering up those opportunities to your fans. I do think Web2 social is important to really get the word out. But, the good thing about blockchain is you have all that data. If an artist with 1 million Instagram followers does a post, they only reach about 4.5%, and then they have to pay to boost their posts to reach their mass audience. So, I think we need a new Web3 social platform. I think that would help. So yeah, just know your audience, I think, is important, and don't go too far ahead. You don't want to come up with some crazy drop that's just going to serve a very small percentage. I think we just got to get as many people using this as they can, and most of them won't even know they're using blockchain tech or buying an album or a song that's on the blockchain. So mask the technology, because most of the fans don't really care.
Yeah, it's kind of going back to the roots of the banking on the fan. It's like the fan artist engagement is something that, regardless of what the technology is, the demand for that is not going away. So what we're seeing is the artists, the people that are doing the best in the space were the ones who are already building grassroots fan engagement. And, we see there's an artist named La Russell that I was able to meet with, the founder of Even, which is the platform La Russell's on. And it was a no-brainer for, they're working with a lot of major artists too, but the flagship artist is La Russell. It's a grassroots guy who built, he's able to sell 500 to 1,000 tickets in his own hometown, keep almost all the profits. He's already, like my friend Dardan, who told me about La Russell. Dardan was like, yo, you don't even realize, bro, like you're already Web3 because of the Web3 culture. Like my friend Natalie, who's on here, talks about, the crypto culture, the Web3 culture. Like she is crypto culture. There are people who Israel Wilson, crypto culture. Some of us are hybrids, right? Like I say gnarly, like straight up, like he found crypto culture, he found Web3 culture, and he ran with it. Why? Because you don't have to knock down the doorkeeper. You just got to walk through the door. Like you don't, like you can take this space and build relationships with people, cross genres, cross generations, cross platforms. And that's why Bonnaroo, Coachella, and the thousands of festivals that we've never heard of are actually successful, is because they bring all kinds of, it's kind of, you could pick your own stage, you could pick what kind of music. And so it's just getting past, I like the idea of getting past some of this tech and getting in the heart to what the culture is supposed to be, whatever you call it. It's people interacting, people collaborating. And so we have somebody on the call here, Matt Matlack, who is bridging the gap between first and third world nations with the Royal Bahamian Hotcakes project, some other things he's doing with art. And I just want to get his perspective, because he's a digital marketing guy, but he's also doing some things to support artists, the environment, and these amazing dogs, overlooked dogs in the Bahamas. So just want to get your take on that synergy between, for artists and Web3, and what your take on it is, Matt.
Well, I was a musician in a band for 30 years. And so I have lived through a lot of trials and tribulations of being an independent musician, and have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to get not much out of it. And that's from hiring publicists to touring. And so one of the things that we probably saw our biggest, in quotes, success through was actually performing in the metaverse. And so just utilizing that technology to bring that community together, finding those 500 people. That's what it is, And so from a financial standpoint, like they helped pay for tours and for us to release albums and help send us to Europe. And so we didn't need 50,000 people or 500,000 people buying our music. We needed 500 dedicated people that got us and understood us and connected with that vision, and that's just what I think Web3 is going to bring to the musicians. And even through our project, it's going to be a PFP project, and the goal is to actually help stray dogs in the Bahamas. But we're bringing in musicians and we're bringing in other artists to help with other facets of it, because we're all playing the same game here, and it is all about networking and bringing this together. So that's why I'm here on this call. Is I want to be someone for you, and I'm hoping that I can find someone for me, and we can connect and grow together.
Beautiful. Beautiful. We're getting to be about that time where we're getting ready to go into the meet and greet portion of this. We try to keep it as short and to the point as possible. It's been an honor. We got Benny Pakawa, Krypton Labs, one of the top Web3 accelerators in this space, founder and catalyst of the Web3 Collective. January 5th, we have an event coming up, virtual networking event. There's also, if you're in Miami, the Web3 Happy Hour is happening on South Beach, taking it back to South Beach. So you can get more information from Benny on that. That's tomorrow evening. And I believe we just brought Mark to the stage. He's a blockchain. Just before we go into the meet and greet, y'all, and we're going to go off of YouTube, there are not that many blockchain attorneys in the space. First, you got to be, I think, qualifier. You got to be a good person and an attorney to be a blockchain attorney. I think that's just my own little bias there. So Mark, we've spent some time together from West Palm to recently in Miami and different spaces. And Mark is a phenomenal guy, and just want to get his take. We also represent Infinity Music. They're in the Krypton Labs Accelerator. Infinity was going to be on the call tonight, but could not. But we just want to shout out Renata, DJ Big League, Khadijah, and the whole team. They're doing an amazing job at Infinity. Check them out. Really cool synergy of a 30-year plus veteran, attorney, IP, advocate for artists with legendary producers and just people coming together. So Infinity, we salute Infinity for sure, part of the Krypton Labs Web3 Accelerator. And just would love to get Mark's take on where, from an attorney's perspective and also an artist advocate's perspective, just what do you see?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for bringing me on board for a minute. And I have to say, I've been really inspired and encouraged by the comments over the last hour or so. As an attorney, I am not the one usually doing the building and the developing myself, but I get to participate derivatively with folks like you all who are doing that in really impactful and powerful ways. And I actually represent one of the largest record labels with all of their digital asset offerings and NFT drops and other digital asset offerings. And so I've been hearing the dialogue. It seems like the goal here is exactly in line with the broader vision of the blockchain ecosystem, which is to disintermediate and take away a lot of the barriers to people being their own boss and making their own economy. And so to be able to see that happening in real time with some of the most valuable inputs in the music industry has been really inspiring. Thank you for bringing me aboard.
Absolutely. Well, before we go off air, it's like a miracle, because we said 8 to 9 is the curated conversation, the meet and greets from 9 to 9:30. So whoever would like to stick on, I know Matt knows me at this point. So we also, yeah, Matt and myself, we're part of a More Than a Mastermind series with William T. Broussard, Claudia 1 Million. We're going to be launching some social capital accelerators, also giving some access and opportunities to apply at Krypton Labs Web3 Accelerator, some other exciting things happening. So I think William T. Broussard, you have the link. If you could post our survey link for the webinar in the chat, I'd be glad if anybody who's on here, if you could fill that out, if there's somebody you'd like to connect with, or if you'd like to apply to be part of one of our accelerators or programs or masterminds, got guys like Roy, Future Man Wooten in the mix. Charles Mbato, we're bringing up here shortly. Come kick it with Charles from Bionic Owls. Ava, Hope, Johnny Stevenson, Crypto Loops, Natalie Crew, Lil Jack Williams, Shanae at Crypto Loops, Wayne Anderson, William T. Broussard, and anybody else in the mix. Feel free to join us on the other side here. We're going to go off air. And Charles, you want to say what's up real quick before we go off air?
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's just a pleasure, man, listening to everybody. Inspiring conversation so far. Just see some familiar faces and some new faces as well. My name is Charles Mbato. I'm the founder of Bionic Owls, a story-based NFT project that we're building. I also do a lot in the space as well. I'm the founder of one of the largest African NFT community, Nigerian NFT community as well. Helping represent artists and across the Atlantic. So yeah, it's been a pleasure. Working with the Web3 mastermind guys and just being in the mix. Also tapping and running into a couple of these guys in person in Miami. It's just been a blast, man. Been a pleasure to be here. Thank you, guys.
Beautiful. Charles is doing a great job networking, connecting, and he's got some amazing things happening. So y'all,
Sure.
We're here live with Benny Pacala, Krypton Labs, Web3 Collective, and beyond. Adam Bloom, business development at Noom. Check out www.noom.io. Michael Bonner from Rhythm and Business, alongside Roy, Future Man Wooten from Bella Fleck and the Flecktones, the notorious Wooten family. And he's got a cool NFT project he's putting together, y'all. So Matt Matlack, Sea Turtle Creative, and the Royal Bahamian Potcakes NFT project, and more. Dylan Smith, special thanks to you. Team Checked, shout out to Felice, Drew, and the whole crew at Team Checked. You guys are doing an awesome job building a bridge between Web 2 and Web 3 with influencers and artists. Drew checked me on that. I said, hey y'all, I want to introduce you to an awesome influencer. I called her a TikTok influencer. Holy moly! Never call
you only made that mistake once, right?
Artist, rock star, movie phenomenon. Never just call her a TikTok influencer. So Brandon, David, I'm watching you. Yeah, so I made sure I adjusted that pretty quick, as if anybody knows the muscle behind Dylan, it's the ladies in his life, starting with his wife.
Absolutely.
So Andrew Schiffman, representing Relic right now and other amazing companies. He's an amazing consultant in the Web3 space, bridging the gap as well, from ticketing, artist development, all that stuff. Y'all, Andrew, check him out on LinkedIn. He's posting great content regularly as well. We got Mr. Mark, blockchain attorney, Web3 attorney, really just a straight up attorney and advocate and friend. Mark, honored to have you. Charles Mbata, Bionic Owls. So y'all, hey, if you didn't have the Zoom link and you're just watching on YouTube, you had to have the Zoom link. And for 2023, you're going to probably have to have more than that. So God bless, much success. Honored to have you. If you're in Miami, go to the Web3 happy hour tomorrow. Join us January 5th for the Web3 Collective online virtual networking. Find more of that on LinkedIn, also Web3 Collective. And we got a survey for you to fill out too. So please fill out that survey. And it looks like we are going off air. Benny, you got any last seconds before we go off there?
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Brandon, David. Hope everybody has a wonderful day.
Awesome. Betty Bacallo, Web3 Collective. We're going off there. Stick around for the meet and greet. If you're in the Zoom room, stick around. We're bringing you up on stage. Come connect. Let our guard down. Still guard your heart anyway. So out of that, the issues of life. Rose. All right. Appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. See you on the other side.